the Highway with Reba Riley, the author of Post Traumatic Church Syndrome. I'm not sure you're allowed to say that, but I've had plenty of heretics on my show, and I'm glad to have another one. Reba, welcome.
Thank you. That's the first time I've been introduced as a heretic, but I consider it a compliment coming from you.
Well, we're in good company. That's
Yeah.
what's going on right now. So here's my question for you, just in light of the name of your book, and actually off camera just a minute ago, you and I were talking about just some like hurt in the world, and it just seems to me that there's this sort of universal struggle to recover from our pain, and so much of your book is exactly about that, about the sort of the process of recovering from spiritual pain and trauma. For you, there was physical pain and trauma involved, and I'd just like to hear you talk about sort of anybody who's watching. What would you say to them from your experience to go, this is what I sort of think about working through pain and trauma and coming out the other side.
Oh, you're right. My book is about coming through spiritual and physical pain and trauma. Physically, I was dealing with a chronic illness for the better part of a decade that remained undiagnosed. I was dealing with a ton of shame as a result of that. And then I was dealing with the post-traumatic church syndrome on top of all of that. What I would say to people is, I know it is so hard firsthand. It is so hard, and it is the hardest work in the world, but it's also the work that you have to do. It's the work you have to do on yourself. And one of my great teachers in my journey, he was the urban monk, and he did all kinds of wonderful things in the world. And I remember at one point talking with him and saying, I feel so selfish for going on this journey, for coming here and asking you to spend your time teaching me to meditate, because what good is that? And he looked back at me like I had three heads, and he was like, you are doing the most important work in your world right now. Every battle is won and lost in your mind. And that really changed everything for me, because I was like, if I don't do this work, how am I going to be any good to the world?
Yeah, it's so good.
So keep going, one foot in front of the other. Use that everyday courage. It only happens, big change only happens in small steps. And most of the time you don't feel very courageous when you're doing the things. And it's only in retrospect that you look back and you go, holy hell, wow, look where I just came from. So keep going.
Yeah, and maybe you could speak to this a little bit. A lot of people don't know where to go for help. They don't know where to go to do that internal work. And I for one, I was raised in a household where we were told in 1,000 different ways that counseling was weakness, and that it was suspicious. And I'm just right now I'm in like my 8th month of being back in therapy for like the 4th time, and it's been so good to help me do the internal work and to sit and rest with a professional who just knows how to ask questions. I mean, so that's one example, but like, what would you say to people who go, I don't know where to go to do the work?
I'm going through this right now. To be very vulnerable, this book, I love it, but it almost killed me. And I got through the end of the publication and everything in August, and I fell apart. So here I am, this book about healing hurt me. And so I had to go back to the drawing board, and I had to ask that question, where do I go? And where I went was what had helped me heal before, which was stillness, meditation. There are so many different kinds of meditation. And I got back in therapy. Fantastic therapist. I made up with her. We never broke up. But I went back to therapy. I got an amazing spiritual director who actually she is just incredible. So it's like every other week I'm seeing either my spiritual director or my therapist. I'm sitting in silence. I'm going to yoga. I am journaling. I am doing anything I possibly can, that when I do it, there is some lightness and some life there. And that's a really personal thing, but that's what I would say. I would say, look for that release it's actually a physical release in your body when you even think about doing that thing and you feel a little lighter. Follow that. It's like those are kind of the breadcrumbs that will lead you back. And I can tell you, so it's been 6 months now, 5 months. I have definitely really turned the corner and have been on a whole other journey of feeling that maybe someday I'll write about. But for now, I'm just glad to, to have lived those lessons again in a new way. It's hard work, but somebody's got to do it. All of us, right?
Stay in the work. Everybody, that is Reba Riley. You can find her at rebariley.com. And if you're a Twitterite, at Reba Riley. Thanks so much. This is Off the Highway.